adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. Starring that jet-A Jerry O'Lace, Rocket J. Squirrel, and his pal, Bullwinkle the Moose.
Hi, glad to see you again.
Likewise.
We got some great things on the show today.
Like what? Like what?
Well, you ought to know, Bullwinkle. You're in some of them.
Well, let's get started.
Last time, you remember, Boris's fancy rain-making plan backfired on him, and he and Natasha were left floating about in a lake of their own making.
Darling, maybe we could call it Lake Natasha.
If you don't share up, we'll call you the late Natasha.
Yes, Boris. Shish, what a grout.
Meanwhile, Rocky and Bullwinkle and their herd of worms were almost at the destination.
The fishing village of Angel's Cramp.
Won't do you no good, fellers.
What do you mean?
They got lots of fish here, but no bait.
Then we're in luck, 'cause we're driving a whole herd of fish and worms.
Honest and true.
Cross my little squirrely heart. Come on up, Roderigo.
Roderigo.
He's our lead worm, see?
Boys, you'll make a fortune. A fortune.
But at that moment, one stray little cloud floated over our hero's head.
Uh-oh. I don't like the looks of that cloud, Bullwinkle.
Fiddle faddle rock. What harm can a little cloud like that do? Well, now I know.
Gee, I wonder if that lightning hurt our worms. You okay, Roderigo?
Rodrigo looked okay, but suddenly...
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle. He lit up.
Well, he always was a bright little feller.
No, I mean he lit up like a light bulb.
Oh, for the mercy me.
Yes, it was true. The lightning bolt had charged the whole herd with electricity, and every worm was now fluorescent.
Except this one. He's Roderigo.
Of course, this caused some complications at Angel's Cramp, for when the fishermen tried to use the worms for bait, the worms just wouldn't cooperate.
Confound it, Mr. Squirrel. We need fishing worms, not glowworms.
Yeah, and you sure need 'em bad, too, don't you?
Of course. Angleworms is the best bait there is.
Except for finkleberries.
Yes, and what's more, we depended on you to... Finkleberries?
Quite an echo they got here, Rock. Takes a long time to come back.
Finkleberries?
Hey, it comes back twice.
What are finkleberries?
Obviously, they're berries that grow on a finkleberry bush, like this one here.
I never heard of finkleberries before, Bullwinkle. You never see 'em in stores.
Small wonder. It's very hard to pick 'em. See?
Bullwinkle slowly reached for a finkleberry, and as Rocky watched in amazement, the berry moved back out of the way and onto another branch.
That's a fantastic phenomenon.
No, it's a finkleberry.
Again and again, the fumble-fingered moose grabbed at the finkleberry till he had it cornered on the top of the bush.
Gotcha.
Seems like a lot of work just to get one berry.
Oh, it is, it is. That's why they're so rare.
Are they really good fishing bait, Bullwinkle?
Are they?
That's what I asked.
Oh, that's where I heard it. Well, looky.
And Bullwinkle held out the berry between thumb and forefinger. Immediately...
That's amazing. That fish leaped 20 feet out of the water just to get a finkleberry.
And the end of my personal finger.
Bullwinkle, I'm gonna pick a peck of finkleberries.
You gotta be awful quick.
I'll prove I'm faster than any old finkleberry. Give me an alley-oop, Bullwinkle.
Right, Rock.
Alley!
And the cocky little squirrel zoomed upward into the air, reversed direction, and approached the bush with blinding speed. Well, well, will Cocky Rocky pick a peck of finkleberries? And if so, where's the peck of finkleberries Cocky Rocky picked?
Very clever.
Be sure to be with us next time for the Bush Pusher, or Berry Berry, Who's Got the Berry?
Once upon a time, there was an exciting fairy tale about a young boy named Aladdin, who, instead of having a yo-yo like the other kids in the neighborhood, had a magic lamp. By rubbing this lamp, a great genie would appear and grant Aladdin any wish he so desired.
I wish I had a yo-yo like the other chaps.
Yes, master.
Unfortunately, Aladdin also had a wicked uncle who wanted that magic lamp and was constantly trying to get it away from him.
I'm a sport, Al, baby. I'll give you a 1913 nickel for it.
No, you're kidding.
A dime, maybe?
No.
All right, then I'll shoot the works. 50 cents.
It was a mighty tempting offer, but Aladdin still refused his uncle.
The only way you'll ever get this lamp is over my dead body.
Say, funny you should say that. Ready, aim.
That would have been the end of Aladdin, but at the last moment he rubbed the lamp, the genie appeared, and the wicked uncle disappeared. His problem solved, Aladdin then wished for a beautiful wife, a beautiful palace, and a beautiful treasure. With everything he could possibly wish for, Aladdin lived happily ever after, or so everybody thought. It so happened that 20 years later, Aladdin chanced to be in the woods reciting poetry, and
I shoot an arrow into the air. It falls to earth, I know not where.
but there was a powerful sorcerer who happened to be passing nearby, and he knew where.
Have you any idea how mad a thing like this makes me?
Would it help to say I'm sorry?
Give it a try.
I'm sorry. Did it help?
With that, the sorcerer waved his wand, there was a crash of thunder, and Aladdin's riches, wife, and worst of all, his magic lamp with the genie, vanished from the face of the earth.
Now, what do you think?
Well, offhand, I'd say you're still pretty hacked.
And poor Aladdin was right back where he started, a penniless, dirty little urchin.
I hate days that start off like this.
Knowing the only way he could get back what he'd lost was to find another magic lamp. So off he went in search of his wicked uncle who had helped him find the first one. Luck was with him.
Wicked uncle, it's me, Aladdin.
Get out of here. Because of you and that magic lamp, I've been down in the dumps for 20 years.
But don't you see, that's why I'm here. I want you to help me find another magic lamp.
A deal was made, and they hurried off to the edge of town and to the mysterious big hole in the ground where they had found the first lamp.
Look, if there was one lamp down there might be two. If they liked it once, they'll love it twice. Jump down and see, baby.
Now remember, dear wicked uncle, we both jumped down.
And sure enough, there on the ground before them was another lamp, but much larger than the first one.
Go ahead, rub it, see if a genie appears.
But though he rubbed and rubbed, nothing happened.
Perhaps, if one of us got inside the lamp and pretended to be a genie.
Silly, but it's worth a try.
Aladdin squeezed his way inside it. The uncle rubbed vigorously, and a genie did appear.
It's not really a genie, Unc. It's me, Aladdin.
I know. All right, let me make a wish. I wish for a ham sandwich.
Aladdin strained mightily, but couldn't even come up with the mustard.
You knucklehead! If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Venting his wrath, he gave Aladdin a sharp rap on the head, which produced a large lump.
I certainly wish we were out of here.
And just like that, they were.
I say, it did work.
Unknown to them, it wasn't Aladdin who was magic, it was the lump on his head. By now, it had gone down so that every wish they made was futile.
I knew I couldn't trust you. You're holding out on me.
The lump reappeared.
Maybe we're wishing for too much. I say, let's try something smaller.
I wish I had my nickel back.
Just as before, the lump worked a miracle, but instead of wishing while the lump was there, they dashed off to spend the nickel. By the time they got back to wishing again, the lump was gone.
I wish I had $1 million.
I wish I was in Dixie.
Hooray!
Hurrah!
Hooray!
Hurrah!
Well, they wished and they wished for 6 straight days without one of them coming true. And then, on the 7th day, a minor earthquake shook the city, causing a vase on a shelf to topple down and crash on Aladdin's noggin. You guessed it, the lump was back.
No! I say, am I lump-prone these days?
You know something now, baby? About the only thing we haven't wished for is to be in a huge cavern in which rests all the priceless treasures of the world.
That did it.
It worked again. We're millionaires.
Overjoyed, they cavorted among the vast riches, and all the while, the lump grew smaller until at last it was gone.
Well, all we have to do now is wish that we were back home with all this stuff.
Yes, go ahead, wish.
I wish that we were back home.
With all this stuff, like he said.
Ah, what a tragedy. For their wish would not come true without the magic lump. They were doomed to stay in that drafty old cavern.
Wonderful, wonderful.
You want to stay in a drafty old cavern?
Oh, I thought he said tavern.
Who really makes you think, Mr. Know-It-All.
Yeah, and I know what you're thinking, too. Same to you, buddy. Today, friends, we take up the problem of making your neighbor quiet without making him angry. Take that loud radio music, for example. Politeness is the important thing, and it always brings a polite response in return. Hello, kindly neighbor! I'm here to discuss your radio in a friendly, neighborly way.
My what?
Your radio!
Eh?
Radio, the radio!
Oh, all right.
Sometimes, however, it may become necessary to make your point in a stronger manner. Take that party next door, for example. One can usually get results by simply tapping gently on the wall. If that doesn't work, one must tap harder. And if that doesn't work, which naturally leaves just one thing to do, and that is join the party! Excuse me, please.
They're team officer.
But officer, I only blew it once, like this.
Gee, Mr. Know-It-All, it doesn't look to me like you're very successful at making your neighbors quiet.
Oh, I don't know, Rock. Here in solitary confinement, you can hear a pin drop.
Quiet over there! Shut up!
Inspector Nathaniel Fenwick had decided that it was about time that his daughter had her coming out party.
Oh, Father, really? With all the trimming?
With all the trimmings, my dear.
Oh, joy.
Pardon me, sir, but isn't Nell a little old to be having a coming-out party?
Of course she's old. But as usual, Do-Right, you don't get the significance. Why, this isn't an ordinary coming-out party. It's a master plan to catch Snidely Whiplash.
I don't quite follow you, sir.
I'll put it another way, Dudley. What is it that Snidely wears that he is never without?
A leer, sir?
No, Dudley, his top hat and opera cape.
So?
Don't you realize, Dudley, that this is the image he's created? Without his top hat and cape, he's nothing. Look.
Funny, sir. I've seen that before.
Of course you have. This is a Bullwinkle hat. Can you imagine collecting mortgages in a Bullwinkle hat? Why, he'll be laughed out of every home.
But what's that got to do with Nell's coming-out party?
Snidely owns an opera hat and cape, right?
Right.
Well, where in this awful wilderness can you attend a full-dress social function?
Well, there's that little theater group.
No place. That's why I'm having this grand social event. Snidely won't be able to resist it. He'll check his hat and cape at the door, and then we'll substitute this Bullwinkle hat for his opera hat.
An invitation, Homer. An engraved invitation to Nell Fenwick's coming-out party.
But Snidely, that's at the RCMP camp.
Homer, I'd go to the ends of the earth to attend a social event of this prominence.
But don't it seem strange that a 37-and-a-half-year-old girl should be having a coming-out party?
With me top hat and cape, I'll be in the height of fashion. A party, whee!
Check your hat and cape, sir.
Certainly.
And while Snidely Whiplash was tripping the light fantastic, a Bullwinkle hat and large check coat was substituted for his top hat and cape.
Thank you, my dear. I don't know when I've had a better time. My hat and cape, please.
Here you are, sir.
No, this isn't my top hat and cape.
I'm sorry, but it's the only one that's left. It must be yours.
I'm telling you, it is not my hat and cape. You won't hear the last of it.
The next day, Snidely Whiplash went about the Canadian mountainside trying to collect mortgages.
Either pay me the money or out into the cold you go.
Look at that funny moose hat.
Oh, please pay me the mortgage, please, will you?
Such a funny hat!
And so, Dudley, Snidely's having a terrible time collecting mortgages. They laugh him out of their homes. Without his hat and cape, he's nothing.
It certainly must be a powerful symbol. It is arch-villain Dudley Do-Right.
All right, Dudley, you've had your little joke. You can take off Snidely's hat.
And I've got you, Inspector Fenwick, in me clutches.
Where did I go wrong?
Snidely, there's a new arch-villain who has moved into the territory. He wears a top hat and a cape, and he has already tied 27 old ladies to the railroad tracks. He's going to beat your record.
Well, what do you expect me to do about it?
Aren't you going to pulverize him, Whiplash? I mean, 27 old ladies. He's cutting in on you a bit.
In a moose hat, he'd only laugh at me.
Can't you stop him?
There's only one way. There's only one man can stop him, and that man is Dudley Do-Right. And you've got to send Dudley Do-Right to stop this fiend, this arch-villain. As a taxpayer, I demand that you apprehend him.
Snidely, we can't send Dudley Do-Right to apprehend this arch-villain.
Why not?
Because that arch-villain is Dudley Do-Right.
Stalwart, true, eyes of blue, Dudley Do-Right?
The very same. He tried on your hat and cape and went berserk. He thinks he's you.
Oh!
Say, if he's masquerading as you, why don't you masquerade as him?
I never realized the truth in that old maxim, clothes make the man. Look at me, stalwart, true, eyes of blue. Arch-villain Dudley Do-Right, caught you at last.
You'll never take me alive, stalwart true with eyes of blue, Snidely Whiplash.
Good work, Snidely Whiplash.
Inspector, there's one favor now that I've captured arch-villain Dudley Do-Right that I would like to ask.
What's that, Whip?
Could I please have my top hat and cape back? For sentimental reasons.
Of course, dear boy.
Now I have you in me power.
Where did I go wrong?
Well, all's well that ends well, eh, Inspector?
Yes, but you know, Do-Right, while he was a Mountie, you could have learned something from that boy.
Well, in our last episode, we learned a brand new word, Finkleberry.
That's spelled F-I-N-K-L-B-E-R-R-Y.
Yes, and...
Period.
Yes. Finkleberries are the finest fish bait in the world. There's just one problem. They're very hard to pick.
It keeps moving from branch to branch. How do you pick a Finkleberry?
You gotta be awful quick.
And to save the fishing resort of Angel's Cramp, Rocky has agreed to pick a peck of Finkleberries.
I'll prove I'm quicker than any old Finkleberry.
How about the young Finkleberries?
Them too. Howie!
Boom!
But that small bush was just a short distance from a large tree, and...
Rocky, you all right?
I think so, Bullwinkle. Get me up there again before I lose my nerve.
Once more, Bullwinkle launched his buddy high into the air, and in a startling display of low-level flying, Rocky picked Finkleberry after Finkleberry before they had a chance to move.
He's a dazzling aerial technician.
Yeah, and a flying fool, too.
In no time at all, Rocky had gathered a peck of Finkleberries and returned to the fishing resort.
Rocky, my boy, you have saved Angel's Cramp.
Hooray! All right, you fishermen, line up for your bait.
Boy, those fishermen sure look nervous.
Jangled anglers, huh?
Well, that was a day that will be remembered for a long time in Angel's Cramp. Fishermen couldn't even get their lines wet. Fish leaped out of the water to get the tempting Finkleberries. Some of them even pursued fishermen up onto dry land.
Say, these must be pretty good. I wonder how they taste. No, get away. This one's mine.
But that fish wouldn't take no for an answer, and finally got Finkleberry, fisherman and all. Of course, our heroes were heroes all over again.
For they are jolly good fellows, which nobody can deny.
Of course, Angel's Cramp became famous overnight, or even sooner. And the more fish that were pulled out, the more money that was pulled in. As a result, a short time later, our heroes were in the loot-filled armored car heading for the Squaw's Ankle National Bank. They didn't know that Boris's rainmaking had resulted in a brand new lake being in their way.
Now, they got to stop here, right?
Well,
And when they do, we got them in trap, right?
well,
Natasha, stop arguing with me.
right.
That's better.
But unfortunately, when the car got to the edge of the lake, Bullwinkle was at the wheel, while Rocky took a short nap. And Bullwinkle didn't even slow down.
That idiot drove right into the lake.
Right.
What a fool I've been.
Right.
Natasha, stop agreeing with me.
Okay. What we do now, Boris?
What else? We pull underwater hold-up.
And the two villains quickly donned diving equipment and leaped into the water. Quickly, they caught up with a lumbering vehicle and started to force their way through the top of it. Inside, Bullwinkle was still unaware that he was traveling underwater.
Boy, what a rainstorm. Better turn on the wipers.
However, instead of turning on the windshield wiper, Bullwinkle punched the turret control, and Boris and Natasha were swept off the top as the turret turned. But Bullwinkle still wasn't out of the woods, or the water.
Getting kind of stuffy in here. I better roll down a window.
And Bullwinkle reached for the handle that would let in the lake water and drown both him and Rocky. Don't miss our next episode, Underwater Trap, or No Air in the Snare.
Well, I guess that about wraps up another Rocky show.
Certainly hope you enjoyed it. I did. I always say,
Bullwinkle, time for us to go.
already? Okay, but first, here are some of the people who made this show impossible.
That's not all.
My fingers get tired. Oop! Got away from me again.
Well, see you next time. Ready, Bullwinkle? Hurry!
Oop!